Have you ever felt that something inside you still hurts, even without knowing exactly why? Maybe it's that sense of emptiness or even the critical thoughts that insist on appearing when you least expect them. What few people know, and here is the truth no one tells you, is that many of these wounds stem from our inner child, that part of us that still carries hurts, fears, and insecurities from the past. And do you know what's most surprising? Ignoring these wounds might be sabotaging your self-esteem, your relationships, and even your mental health. But don't worry, this doesn't mean you're doomed to live with this pain forever. In fact, there's a way to overcome it all, and it starts with something that might seem counterintuitive. Looking inward and welcoming your most vulnerable parts. Does that sound complicated? Don't worry. Today, you'll discovered the first step to emotionally overcoming these wounds and finally freeing yourself from the weight you've been carrying for so long. And believe me, this transformation can be simpler and more powerful than you imagine. So, if you're ready to understand the signs you should unignore and learn new ways to take care of yourself, keep reading. What follows might be the missing ingredient to transform your mental health and personal development. Self-care isn't just about face masks and relaxing baths. Although they help, it's about learning to be kind to yourself, especially during moments when you need it most. Imagine how you treat a friend going through a difficult time, with comforting words, patience, and support. Now ask yourself, why is it so hard to do the same for yourself? This lack of self-compassion is one of the biggest mistakes many people make, and the first step to overcome it is recognizing that you deserve the same care you offer to others. Self-criticism, on the other hand, is like that annoying colleague who never stops pointing out your flaws. It shows up at the most inconvenient times, like when you make a mistake at work or feel like you're not living up to expectations. But here's the truth, no one grows by only hearing criticism. Scientific studies show that self-compassion is an essential ingredient for mental health and personal growth. So, how about starting to change your internal dialogue? The next time you catch yourself being judgmental, try saying something like, "It's okay, I'm human. Making mistakes is part of the process." And you know what's curious? Often we're more patient with a stranger than with ourselves. Think about it. If you saw someone trip on the street, you'd probably say something like, "It's okay, it happens." But when we stumble on our own challenges, our reaction is quite different, isn't it? Self-care begins when you realize you deserve the same empathy you offer the world. And believe me, this shift in perspective can be the first step to transforming your self-esteem and relationships. Why are we so quick to offer kindness to others but so hard on ourselves? It's almost as if there's an invisible rule saying we deserve less compassion than anyone else. Imagine a friend who made a mistake. You'd probably say something like, "Don't worry, everyone messes up." But when it's you who messes up, your internal dialogue sounds more like, "How could you do that?" This is the self-sabotaging cycle many of us face, and it can be one of the biggest barriers to personal development. Now, let's talk about that strange feeling that arises when we try to be kind to ourselves. It feels uncomfortable, doesn't it? Almost as if it's wrong, or even selfish. But here's the secret. That's just your brain resisting a new habit. Scientific studies show that the brain loves familiar patterns, even if they're negative. So, when you try to interrupt critical thoughts and replace them with words of support, it's natural to feel resistance. The key is to persist. Start small. The next time you catch yourself being judgmental, ask yourself, would I say this to someone I love? And of course, there's the fear of seeming weak. Many believe that being self-compassionate is the same as being complacent or avoiding responsibility. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Self-compassion isn't about ignoring your mistakes, but acknowledging them without destroying yourself in the process. Think of it as a healthy relationship with yourself, a balance between responsibility and kindness. And if you think that's hard, wait until you discover the next step. Treating yourself as if you were a 5-year-old child. Imagine carrying with you, throughout the day, a version of yourself at only 5 years old. This child is sensitive, curious, and sometimes scared of the world around them. Now ask yourself, how would you take care of them? Would you yell at them for making a mistake, or comfort them with encouraging words? This imaginative exercise is a powerful way to change how you treat yourself. After all, inside every adult, there's still a child who needs care, attention, and above all, patience. Think about how your day would look if you truly saw things through the eyes of that child. A meeting at work might feel as intimidating as the first day of school. A conflict in a relationship might feel as confusing as an argument on the playground. When you allow yourself to view your struggles this way, it becomes easier to offer yourself the empathy you so desperately need. And more importantly, you begin to realize you don't have to face everything perfectly, just courageously. And you know what's interesting? This exercise isn't just a metaphor. It can be applied practically. The next time you feel overwhelmed, pause for a moment and ask yourself, if I were a 5-year-old child right now, what would I need to hear? Maybe it's something simple like, "It's okay, you're doing your best." That small gesture could be the first step to overcoming anxiety and building a healthier sense of self-esteem. And speaking of challenges, let's explore how the pressures of daily life can be viewed through this new lens. Daily life can feel like a true roller coaster, right? Work presentations, lunch with strangers, social gatherings, it all seems simple, but if you look closer, you'll see how emotionally challenging these situations can be. Now, imagine facing these moments as a 5-year-old child. A big work meeting might feel as scary as speaking in public for the first time at school. And just as a child needs support, you also need to acknowledge the impact of these pressures. The problem is, as adults, we often ignore the weight of these situations. After all, it's just another normal day, isn't it? Wrong. These small daily battles can pile up, and without realizing it, you start to feel the signs you shouldn't ignore: anxiety, exhaustion, and even physical pain. This is where the importance of treating yourself with more kindness comes in. The next time you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, how would a child handle this? Maybe they'd need reassurance, a moment of rest, or just someone saying, "You're doing great." And you know what's fascinating? When you begin to acknowledge these pressures, you realize you don't have to face everything alone. Small adjustments, like taking regular breaks or even saying no to unnecessary commitments, can make a significant difference. After all, even the strongest adults need time to breathe. But for that to happen, it's essential to recognize the burdens you carry daily. How many times have you ignored the weight of what you're carrying? It is easy to fall into the trap of thinking everything we face is normal or no big deal. But the truth is, by ignoring emotional and physical challenges, you're just sweeping the problem under the rug. And do you know what happens? These burdens start manifesting in unexpected ways. Anxiety that seems to come out of nowhere, unexplained body aches, and even deep episodes of sadness. Recognizing what you're carrying is the first step to overcoming it. Think about how it would feel to take a moment to truly evaluate what you're feeling. Maybe it's the stress of a demanding job, the pressure of maintaining relationships, or even the guilt of not being perfect all the time. These invisible burdens have a real impact on your mental and physical health. A practical example: the next time you feel overwhelmed, try writing down everything running through your mind. Sometimes, putting your thoughts on paper is like lifting a weight off your shoulders. And here's something few people realize: acknowledging your struggles isn't a sign of weakness, but of courage. It takes strength to admit you can't carry everything alone. And when you do, you begin to make room for healing and growth. But for that to happen, it's important to learn from an example we all know well: the care we give to children. If you've ever spent time looking after a child, you know how naturally patient and kind we are with them. When a child stumbles, we don't judge them. Instead, we reach out and say, "It's okay, let's try again." Now, think about how it would be if you applied this same approach to yourself. After all, no matter your age, we all have moments of vulnerability that need to be treated with gentleness and understanding. The curious thing is that, with children, we understand they're learning and that mistakes are part of the process. But when it comes to ourselves, we forget that. For example, if you're trying to overcome anxiety or improve your self-esteem, it's easy to get frustrated when things don't go as planned. But just as a child needs time to learn how to walk, you also need time to grow emotionally. How about starting to ask yourself, how would I treat a child in this situation? This simple shift in perspective can transform how you handle your challenges. And do you know what's most powerful? When you adopt this gentle stance with yourself, you begin to realize that self-care isn't a luxury, but a necessity. Just as a child needs rest, nourishment, and support, so do you. So, the next time you feel exhausted or overwhelmed, remember, taking care of yourself is an act of love. But what happens when we ignore our vulnerabilities? Ignoring our vulnerabilities is like trying to drive a car with an empty tank. You might keep going for a while, but eventually, everything comes to a halt. When you refuse to recognize your pains and challenges, they don't go away. They accumulate. Anxiety, insomnia, body aches, and even relationship problems start to appear as warning signs. And the most concerning thing, these signs are often ignored until they become unbearable. Are you making this mistake? If so, maybe it's time to stop and reflect. Recognizing our vulnerabilities isn't an act of weakness, but of strength. Think about it. When you admit you're overwhelmed, you make room to seek help, rest, and recover. It's like taking a strategic pause in a game. You're not giving up, just preparing to come back stronger. For instance, if you feel anxiety taking over, try something simple like a deep breathing break or a moment of silence to reorganize your thoughts. Small steps can make a big difference. And here's something few people realize: validating your emotions is essential for personal growth. When you allow yourself to feel, you're telling yourself that your experiences matter. This creates a positive cycle of self-compassion and resilience. But to get there, it's important to bring more awareness to your daily life. Speaking of which, how about exploring some practical reflections that can help you connect with your emotions? Sometimes, the rush of everyday life makes us forget something essential: how we're feeling. It's easy to go on autopilot, but bringing awareness to your emotions can change everything. A simple way to do this is to ask yourself, how would a 5-year-old handle my morning? Imagine what it would feel like for them to face traffic, work demands, or even an argument. This reflection helps you see the weight of your experiences and, more importantly, treat them with more empathy. Another powerful question is, how would this child be feeling right now? Maybe tired, confused, or even overwhelmed. And do you know what they would need? A moment of rest, some kindness, or even encouragement? You can do this for yourself. For example, if your day was tough, how about taking 10 minutes to listen to music you love, or just take a deep breath? These small pauses are like recharging your emotional batteries, something we all need. And at the end of the day, ask yourself, how would this child feel after everything I went through today? This reflection is not just a mental exercise, but a way to connect with your emotions and needs. When you start asking yourself these things, you realize you deserve the same care you'd give to someone you loved. And by doing this, you begin to accept your more fragile parts. Inside each of us are delicate and sensitive parts that we often try to hide. But what if, instead of rejecting them, we learn to thank them? These fragile parts are little reminders that we're human, that feeling fear, insecurity, or sadness is part of the journey. Think about it. You'd thank a child for being vulnerable, wouldn't you? So why not do the same for yourself? Recognizing these parts is the first step to building healthier self-esteem and overcoming emotional challenges. Accepting our vulnerabilities doesn't mean settling, but freeing ourselves from the pressure to be perfect. For example, if you feel anxious in social situations, instead of criticizing yourself, why not say, "Thank you for showing me that I need more care right now." This shift in perspective transforms how you handle your feelings. After all, even difficult moments have something to teach us. They are an essential part of our growth and personal development. And do you know what's most beautiful? When you start thanking your most fragile parts, you see they're not obstacles, but gateways to a more authentic life. It's like embracing the inner child who still lives inside you, saying, "It's okay to be who you are." By doing this, you pave the way for a gentler, more balanced adulthood. Maturity isn't about being unshakable or hiding your emotions. It's about finding a balance between strength and vulnerability. When you accept your weaknesses, you realize they're not enemies but allies on the path to a fuller life. Imagine what it would be like to live without the constant weight of self-criticism, allowing yourself to just be human. That's the true meaning of gentle adulthood. Treating yourself with the same patience and compassion you offer to others. A gentler adulthood begins with small gestures. For instance, instead of blaming yourself for not meeting all your goals today, why not celebrate what you did accomplish? Or, if a relationship is challenging, ask yourself, how can I approach this with more empathy, both for myself and for the other person? These practices not only strengthen your mental health, but also create space for personal growth. After all, life isn't about being perfect but about learning and evolving. And do you know what's most transformative? When you adopt this approach, you start inspiring others around you. Your kindness to yourself reflects in your relationships, your work, and even the way you face challenges. It's like planting a seed of change that grows in all areas of your life. But for this to happen, you need to take the first step, healing the wounds of your inner child. Now that you know the steps to heal your inner child's wounds, the question remains, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you continue ignoring the signs you shouldn't ignore, or will you take the first step to overcome this pain and transform your mental health? Remember, recognizing your vulnerabilities isn't weakness, it's courage. It's the beginning of a path of self-compassion, self-esteem, and healthier relationships. So, how about starting today? Take a moment to reflect on what you've felt throughout the day. Ask yourself, how can I take better care of myself right now? Small actions, like jotting down your thoughts or simply taking a deep breath, can be the start of a great change. And most importantly, allow yourself to feel. You deserve this care. If this content helped you, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to keep learning about mental health and personal development. Share this video with someone who also needs to hear this message. After all, we all have an inner child that deserves to be cared for. Shall we go on this journey together?